G'day and welcome back to the 40 channel. So here we are, Jack.
Yep.
Starting all over again. So we've given the chassis a really good wash. Well, Jack gave it a good wash and we got, I think, half the dirt that came off the chassis came onto us. That's pretty funny. So Andy Grace has gone through and sprayed all the nuts and bolts on this thing with the R10, trying to loosen it up. So here we are today, we're going to start stripping it all down and hopefully by the end of the weekend we'll get the motor, gearbox and transfer case out and see how we go from there.
Right,
let's get into it. I think I've got more on me and Maggie. So Maggie and I have well and truly done a good job. Thanks, girl. There it is. Righto, so the same as the last build, we're going through your little Ziploc bags. They're cheap, you seal them up, throw everything you take off it. Doesn't matter how rusty it is or whether it's even damaged, we still keep everything, so we catalogue everything. So Jack's going to put all the nuts and bolts, washers, everything that comes off the shocks into that bag. You can already see you've got like driveline bits and pieces, all the bolts that are coming off the chassis. Every bag's labelled, everything will be kept together, no matter what condition it is, so that way we can go through, find out what we need later.
Can't get underneath it properly.
Just belt it. Yeah, see? Alright, so taking all these nuts and bolts off, so we're using the little rattle gun from Milwaukee. The great thing is that we can turn the torque setting right down so we can try to take it as easy as possible. We'll actually try to crack everything by hand first just to see how it feels. We don't want to break any of the nuts, bolts or damage anything. Try to keep as much as we possibly can. So it's going alright, isn't it, Jack?
Yeah, it's pretty good.
So far.
Extremely handy.
Righto, so the our steel steering arm here has had some serious damage somewhere along the line because it's actually broken and someone's welded it and they put like a little strong back on the back of it. Some of our rods here are also bent, but anyway, we'll try and pull it all off and try and see if we can get a spare one in better condition than this. We had to break out the old school tools for the old school car. Just trying to get this whole steering box off. Still need to get this off, which is going to be a bit more of a challenge because we've got the head of a bolt tucked right down in there. Anyway, we'll get it. And the solution I found is 14mm socket with this little tiny adapter, which is really cool. And that adapter just sits in the end. So we put the 14mm socket over the bolt, 19mm spanner over here, and should be able to undo it. Just set it rested up against there. The hole push down on there. Yeah. Excellent.
Awesome.
Righto, so that's how you pull that bracket off. Pretty tricky, eh, Jack?
Yeah.
I'm glad that came off without too much drama at all, really.
I'm using long nose pliers. Like that.
You can see that. Keyways are in there, the Woodruff keys. So we don't want to lose any of that. So a little Woodruff key, a little keyway slides up onto here. So we'll keep all of that, don't lose any of it. Oh, that's come off, that's alright. Hopefully we can chase up a new one of them. You can see what's happened here. A nice farmer's welded that back together, I think, with this solid back here. Just spray some R10 in there, let that penetrate right down into it. And what we'll do next is we'll heat this area up here with a little bit of heat. And then we'll try and hit that out and see if it all comes out in one piece, hopefully without any dramas. So I'm going to get Jack to heat just this area here. Don't get any heat down here and don't get any heat up here.
That's good.
And soak him with the R10. Cool thing about the R10, it's non-flammable, so it's not going to flare up and explode or catch on fire on us, which is good. The other really important thing is when I'm going to hit this with a hammer, we're going to make sure we use a copper hammer. We're not going to use anything but copper, so that way we can reduce any of the risk. Righto, Jack, you ready?
Closer, further.
Oh, that's perfect. The idea is the heat will expand the metal of the outside, as long as we don't get too much heat in, because we don't want the whole thing to expand, otherwise we're just back to where we were. Expand the outside metal and hopefully hit that through. You keep heating it. There we go, we got it, it's done. Turn it off. Alright, success. So all we needed was a little bit of R10, a bit of heat, copper hammer, pop straight out. So that was fantastic, Jack. That's it. Alright, so just before we lift this motor out, we're just stripping off everything we can. So Jack's just pulling the carby off it. It's in fairly good condition. Pulled the oil bath air filter off. Pulled the kettle off, which is just a home to spiders. We're having to remove the engine from the mounts because of some dodgy stuff going on. Check out the other side. That's all bound up. It's all cracked at the bottom and broken. So our only option is to undo all these bolts, try and lift the whole thing out, and then we can deal with this when the engine and gearbox and all that's gone. So it's seen some hard days, this old fire truck. Yeah, that's diminished. Alright, keep going up, mate.
Yeah.
We don't want to do a project wrong way.
I was thinking, I thought you were going to like lift it higher, and then as it was like about there, if you were to lift it higher and you grab there, and you lift that up and it would like push it over it. You know what I mean?
Alright.
So you have to lift it higher for that. So that's what I mean.
Good thinking, Jack.
Yeah.
Excellent work.
Yeah.
That was a bit of fun. Good thinking there, mate.
Thank you.
Righto, this is very common, and I've seen this a number of times already, where this mount here cracks along here, bends, and the hole just gets ovaled out. Now, one of the reasons I think is straight from factory, they only weld halfway up, and there's no gussets or support underneath this bottom bit. So what we're actually going to do is just going to clean it all up, grind all this crack out, tap it back up. I'm going to run the weld all the way across, so it gives it a bit more support and strength. So I've ground the crack out, I've drilled a hole at the end of the crack over here, I've cleaned up the entire area back to bare metal, get the best possible weld to give this support it needs to last another 50 years. So yeah, that's pretty cool. Besides that, the chassis is in excellent condition. Yep. Out of the whole chassis, removing all the bolts, the only broken one is this one. And the good thing is, I didn't do it. It was already here. So we've done really well. I have to say, this R10 is amazing. It's worked wonders. I haven't broken a single bolt over this whole project. Righto, it's time to clean this chassis up. Unfortunately, Jack having a job and working on weekend is the inconvenience me working on this all by myself. So we're going to use stuff that we've used before. These stripper discs are awesome. I love them. They are sensational. I've used these heaps of times before. You saw me use these in the FJ40 build for stripping everything from paint, rust, everything back. So they're awesome. And wire wheels. So the first thing I'm going to do is going to go over the stripper disc and hit all the major spots. This stuff cleans up quick and fast anything that's left on it. Rust, bit of paint, dirt, everything. And then all around the rivets and all those tight little spaces, we can come in and get it with the wire wheel. So let's get stuck into it. We should be able to clean this up without too much drama. So the reason I'm cleaning it all by hand is that yes, I could take it straight down to the sandblaster just like I did with the FJ40. I can get someone to sandblast it, does an amazing job. But on this build, what I want to do is try to show you guys that you can do everything in your own backyard. And you don't have to go and move chassis around or take panels around. Sure, sandblasting does an amazing finish and I totally recommend it. But if you're doing a home build and you're tight on budget, I just want to show you guys another way of doing it in your own backyard without having to move it, transport it backwards and forwards, all those extra costs that are involved with sandblasting and then bringing it all back. We're trying to do it all right here in your own workshop. So if you want to get some of these stripper discs, jump onto the Toolking website. You can order them straight online. Mate, these are sensational. And they'll send them anywhere in the world. How good's that? Righto, so it's taken me about 1 hour to clean the entire chassis of all the major parts. So next we'll hit it all with a wire brush, get all these fiddly little bits. Righto, we're stripper disced, we've wire wheeled, and now there's some little tiny crevices that you just can't get into with either of them. So what we're going to do now is just use your little sandblaster. So again, still be all done at home. These aren't very expensive at all. Bag of sand, we're just getting all those little crevices that you can't get to with your wire wheel. Pretty straightforward, really. Right, so I've just realised that if you're going to be doing this at home and you don't own a compressor, well, that little sandblaster is not going to be much help to you. But you can always resort to small little wire wheels that just go on the end of your drill. Now again, I use these in the FJ40 build. These were fantastic for getting in all those little tiny crevices. Okay, so we don't have time today to rip off our axles, to flip it over and clean the rest of it. It's about 95% clean, this chassis. So what I'm going to do, because we're not going to get back to it to another weekend, it's been a big weekend of cleaning, scrubbing, removing motors, all that type of stuff. I'm going to spray rust converter over the whole chassis now. And what that does, if there's any little bits of rust that are left, any small pitted little bits, it'll convert the rust into a nice solid barrier, turns black, and that'll protect it. It'll even be a waterproof protecting. It'll well and truly protect it, so that when we get ready to prime and paint this chassis, it'll be good to go in about a week or 2 weeks time. So we'll rust convert it with the Chemtools rust converter. Before we rust convert it, we clean the whole chassis down with wax and grease remover. That way there's no contaminants over the whole chassis. Gives the rust converter every chance possible to work to its absolute best and give it maximum protection over the chassis. Not that much now, we're going to set in trouble. Hold on, mate.
What?
You missed the day of cleaning the chassis down. Well, Jack's timing was absolutely perfect. He turned up when I've totally finished. So, literally just finished hitting it with some rust converter because I didn't think I would have time to strip these off.
Looks good.
Yeah. So now you're here, I'm going to go and you can finish off stripping the chassis, taking the axles off for me. No?
No.
Oh. Righto, anyway, more about the chassis later. Come to the end of this episode, but something that's really, really cool. Side Hustle Signs. Check them out on Instagram. Side Hustle Signs. Have made some stuff for me. Now this is really, really cool. Check out this. How cool is that? So Side Hustle Signs has done an awesome job. He spent a lot of time with me. We worked out the design backwards and forwards. He was very patient with me and we came up with this design and it's really, really cool. He's left it nice and clean so we can stain it, lacquer it, do whatever we want with it. And this will go hang on our wall inside with all the other bits and pieces. But he also did a few other things. Cut down a tree just for us, left the bark. And then he's CNC routed that and then he's filled it with some type of epoxy resin. Any colour you like, this looks really, really cool. It's pretty impressive, isn't it?
Yeah.
I really like that one. I love that blue. But he's done one more thing for us as well. Well, actually, he's done a stack of these. So he's done some little coaster holders, some 40 channel coaster holders. Now, we have, what do we got coming up in the next couple of weeks?
So we have another giveaway.
This giveaway is going to be awesome. So Chemtools have come on board and they're doing an awesome prize pack. But more about that in a few weeks' time. But in that prize pack, there's going to be 2 prizes, a major prize and a minor prize. So you'll also be able to win one of these awesome coaster holders in that Chemtools prize giveaway. So we also might see if we can get some other people on board and try to make this giveaway a little bit bigger than what it already is. So that's pretty exciting.
Yeah,
it's pretty cool. Very cool. Anyway, guys, we really appreciate your support. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Give us a thumbs up. Feel free to leave a comment down below. And anyway,
thanks for watching.